All right, everybody, we are back for our series in systems of equations. I just wanted to show you kind of where we've been. We're talking about combining two equations to make a zero and get rid of a variable. And we are left with one variable, and then in almost all of the situations with systems of equations, whether you're solving by substitution or elimination, you're going to have to take that second variable, or the variable that you get, the x in this case, and substitute it back into one of the equations and then solve for the other variable, and then you get an ordered pair. Okay, so the equations that we've been working with so far, you either haven't had to multiply the equation by anything, or like on number 3 down here, we would multiply the equation by -1 to get a 0 here, or not there, but a 0 here. Whoops, not here, not a 0, not a 0. Okay, so we're either multiplying this equation by something, or we're not multiplying anything. That's what we've done so far. So just a little review. So going into our next one, we have a situation where we're going to start multiplying equations by other numbers to find our zeros. So you can take a look at number 1 here. You can see that our equation 3 and 2, that's not going to make a 0, and then 8 and -2 is not going to make a 0. So let's work with the 8 and the -2 though, and let's see. Think about, like, what would you have to multiply the second equation by to make -2 -8? Well, you would multiply that whole equation by +4. So if you multiply the entire thing by +4, you'll end up with a -8. So because 4 times -2 is -8, and that's the opposite here, right? We're looking for that 0. So we've got 3x. That first equation is going to stay the same, and I want you to write the two equations next to each other. Okay, so I'm just going to take our equation. We're going to write them out here. Okay, and then we're going to say 4 times 2 is +8x. And then we have 4 times -2, which is our -8y. Look, there's our 0. Okay, and then we have 4 times -10 is -40. Remember, what you do to one side of the equation, you got to do to all of it, right? So if you can start seeing that 0 here, that's a really important step. So let's take a look at the second one, and we'll come back. We'll come back to the first one and finish it out in a minute. But I want to get that 0. That hardest part is finding that first 0. Okay, so this one, it's not as straightforward. So you've got to see a little bit more. I'm looking for, you either need to make this a 0, or you need to make this a 0. And I see this one as being a little bit easier, because I know that 3 and 4 both go into 12. So I'm going to end up with a -12x here and a +12x here. Okay, what does that mean for the rest of the equation though? So what times 4 equals 12? So what times 4 equals 12? Well, 3 times 4 equals 12. So 3 times 4 is 12, that's already done. 3 times -13, -39y, and then 3 times 5 equals 15. Okay, well, the next one, okay, we're looking for a -12. Well, it's already negative, so we don't have to worry about the negative here. But what times 3 is 12? Think about it. Well, we just did this one down here, 3 times 4, right? So it should be 3 times 4. We multiply both sides by 4. So 4 times -3 is -12. 4 times 2 is 8y, and then 4 times 4 equals 16. So there's our 0. Okay, so let's finish these two problems. You finish them out the same way that you did all of the other problems in this series so far as linear combination. You find your 0 first. So our first one, we're going to say 8y minus 8y is 0, and we have 3 plus 8 is 11x, and this equals, so we've got 7 minus 40 is -33, divide by 11, and x equals -3. Okay, so we're going to take that -3 and we're going to substitute it back into the equation. So on this one, you have a couple different equations to pick from. You could pick either of these two or either of these two. My recommendation is that you always stick with one of the original equations. Okay, and so we're talking about x. I'm going to plug it into that first one or substitute it into that first one. So I'm going to say 3 times x plus 8y equals 7. So we're substituting back in this last step. So -3. Again, it's the same thing that we've done in previous problems. The only difference is how you're starting with. You've got to think ahead a little bit more than you did in the past. Oops, that's +7, sorry. So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. And that's our 0 right there. And we've got 8y equals 16 divided by 8 divided by 8, y equals 2. So our ordered pair, don't forget to write it as an ordered pair. Okay. All right, so our next one, finishing it out, same type of solutions, or same type of like steps that we're going to take. We're going to combine them together, get rid of one of our variables, but just to kind of recap what we did here. The first equation here, it didn't have a 0 in it, right? The -3 and the 4 did not combine to be 0. 2 and -13 did not combine to be 0. So we had to multiply both equations in this case to get a 0 at -12. We said, well, I know that 3 goes into 12 and I know that 4 goes into 12, divides into 12 evenly. Then if they both divide into 12 evenly, that's your number, okay? So I have 4 times -3 is -12, 4 times 2 is 8, and then 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 4 is 12, there's our 0. 3 times -13 is -39y, and then 5 times 3 is 15. So we're going to combine our equations together, and we got a 0 there. We've got -31. I think I'm doing that math right. And then we have 31, and look at that, that works out quite nicely here. -31, divide both sides by -30, y equals -1. Okay, so we've got one of our solutions. We've got to substitute it back into either equation. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to pick the first one. So we got -3x plus 2y equals 4. And I'm going to substitute into my y in this case. Remember, you can pay attention to where you're substituting in. Equals 4. And we've got -3x minus 2 equals 4. Add 2 to both sides. We've got -3x equals 6. Divide by -3. And we've got x equals -2. Okay, don't forget to write it as an ordered pair. We'll take points off on the test for that if you don't write it as an ordered pair. Okay. Okay. So just to recap, you're looking for the 0. Remember, 0 is the number, the magic number in this kind of set of lessons. You're trying to look for what our 0 is going to be here. Okay, so I'm going to do a second video in case you need some extra help on your homework, but I wanted to keep this one short for the intro, and we'll start on some extra help in a minute. All right.